And welcome to the UVA Darden session at MBA Spotlight. My name is Kathleen Williams, and I will be your host for today. It's also my pleasure to present you Marav Frazier, Senior Associate of Global Recruitment, and Christian West, Senior Director of Global Recruitment. We'll begin today with a quick overview of the full-time MBA program with critical information you need to know to be successful in your application. After the brief presentation, we will open it up for a Q&A, and we will try to address as many questions as possible. For everyone in the audience, we have a great way for you to engage and post for the questions. On your screen to the right, there is a tab that has the Q&A bubbles. That's the perfect place for you to address any questions that you might have and upvote the ones that you want to hear answered on screen as well. Now I will turn it over to Marav to start the presentation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Really excited to be here with you all. Like Kathleen said, my name is Marav Frazier. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I serve as the Senior Associate Director for Global Recruitment at Darden. I'm a member of the Admissions Committee, so review applications. I work with our global student population, and I also get to work with our deferred enrollment program and with our dual degree candidates. Would love to share a little bit about the Darden MBA experience with you all and talk a little bit about our application process, and looking forward to hearing some of your questions at the end as well. So some of the areas that I would love to highlight in speaking about the Darden experience are the education portion, the culture and community, and the career support that we offer. With the education experience, I'll talk a little bit about the case method and the student-faculty interaction. We also have a lot of great opportunities for global immersion. When it comes to our culture and community, we have tons of opportunities for students to get involved with their peers in terms of clubs and organizational involvement, not only at Darden, but within the Charlottesville community. Great opportunities for leadership, and also our alumni network is extremely involved, not only with our current students and helping them with employment, but with prospective students as well. And then lastly, like our career support, we have folks here that have had tens of years of industry experience in terms and MBAs themselves, and will help you along the career process throughout your 2 years and also as alumni as well. So, a little bit about the academic piece of the Darden MBA journey. In your first year, students complete a core curriculum. So, we place all first year students in a section, A through E. Sections are roughly 60 to 70 or so students, and you complete the core with your section. And so, you're going to class 4 days a week, 2 to 3 times the day, and completing typically about a case or so per class. So, you go through roughly 600 or so cases during your time at Darden and get that overview and breadth of information. Now, core consists of about 30 credits at Darden, which is half the curriculum. And then after that, in your second year, that's when you can choose your own adventure by taking elective courses that meet your interests. We do have concentrations at Darden, but you do not have to pick a path. You can just take course across the range of different industries and concepts. Between your first and second year, you get summer internship opportunities, which, like I mentioned, our career office will help you to attain, whether it be in more traditional role of banking or consulting. Maybe you want to go into tech or marketing. We also have opportunities for entrepreneurship and opportunities in our incubator program to create your own venture or product. So let's talk a little bit more about our distinct learning process. I mentioned case method, but what you do for the case method is you have that level of individual preparation. So you have to read the cases in advance. Then you go into your learning team. Learning teams are comprised of members of different sections, so typically about 7 to 8 or so students working together to prepare for class in the evenings. You come into class ready to share what you've read, what your findings are, what your learning team has come up with. And then in class, you discuss that information, and the faculty members there to facilitate that discussion. After that, you have the opportunity to reflect either through just casual conversation with your peers or back again with your learning team. The cases present you with real world scenarios and allow for you to place yourself in the position of the protagonist. So, whether it's the CEO, the CMO, or the CFO, you have the opportunity to read about a business problem and think about the many ways that potentially it could be solved. There's not always just one answer, and it's the faculty member's job to help facilitate that discussion and come up with potentially different solutions to whatever the problem may be. It's really conversation based learning and an opportunity for you to gain experience or gain knowledge from the collective of your peers rather than just one faculty member lecturing to you how they would perhaps solve the problem. But you get to share your own industry experience and have the opportunity to hear from how your classmates perhaps would approach this problem based on their personal professional backgrounds and experiences. And you get to learn from a very globally diverse background of student or very globally diverse set of peers, which just makes that conversation that much more exciting. So everybody wants to get a job, right, for their summer internship or also for post graduation. As I mentioned, our career experts do a wonderful job of getting you those opportunities. Throughout your first year, they'll work with you to recruit for your summer internship. And then, if for some reason you don't get a return offer or would like to re recruit, we have opportunities for them to work with you as well in your second year. Now, we also have second year student coaching. So, second year students who coach first year students throughout their internship application process. And then a third tier is the career and industry clubs, which work to help prep you for perhaps casing for through the consulting clubs or the finance club will put on different events as well and conferences and really provide that mentorship at the third tier. There's also additional mentorship just from casual conversations or coffee chats with your second year students. Many of the affinity clubs offer mentorship as well. So you'll find that throughout your 2 years at Darden, you'll have that support either for internship or for post MBA job recruitment. Our alumni come into play here as well. They come back from the different companies and firms and banks they're working for to recruit Darden students because they've had such a great experience themselves. They would love to have more Darden students coming into wherever it is that they're working. And our Career Center also is able to provide support to alumni as they transition through careers for the rest of their lives. So we just realized today that this is a little bit out of date because we actually just released our class of 2023 information, which can be found online. But as you can see, we have some great outcomes in terms of careers for our graduating students. So at this point, I don't need to read the slide to you, but we're really proud of our outcomes. A little bit more about the community at Darden. So, yes, you're coming in for a great education. Yes, you're coming in to get a job, but we also want you to have a great 2 year experience as a member of our residential community. We have great traditions like first coffee, which is a 30-minute coffee break after your first class. So class starts at 8 a.m. and you need some coffee sometimes after. So at 9:30, we break for coffee, tea, iced tea, hot chocolate. Today, because it's Wednesday, we had croissants. Sometimes there's other pastries or fun events, and sometimes it's a performance or a flash mob of some sort or award ceremony. So just great opportunity for students, faculty, and staff to get together. Our sections compete against one another in what's called the Darden Cup. So while Darden itself has a community of very collaborative individuals, Darden Cup is our little competitive sides where the sections compete against each other in um, racket sports or cricket or soccer or basketball or trivia. There's also a talent show. There's also fundraising. So many opportunities to have a little bit of that competitive edge in an otherwise very collaborative environment. And like I mentioned before, we have a lot of different clubs and organizations at Darden's, a lot of different initiatives. So, ways for students to get involved, whether it be through career industry focused clubs or affinity clubs, opportunities to hold leadership. So we have the Darden Student Association, but we also have section leadership and club leadership as well. So opportunities for you to put what you're learning in the classroom into practice as a leader here in our community. Here are some of our application deadlines. So our round 2 in January is the next application deadline that we have. We also have a round 3 in April. The next round of applications will then be for class of 2028, starting again in September. With early action, we do offer some limited open interview opportunities. So, for folks who are ready to go, we allow for them to go ahead and schedule the interview prior to us evaluating the application. For rounds 1, 2, and 3, we do an initial evaluation of the application and invite folks to interview. So, interviews are by invitation only. What do we look for in the application process? In general, strong academic profile, which includes all of your academic performance, undergrad, grad, any additional certifications and certificates, and standardized test scores. Then we look at your professional background and experiences, all your work history. We look at community involvement and extracurriculars. And then that last piece is that personality that'll come through in the essays, in the letter of recommendation, how someone speaks about you, and then in your interview as well. And all three components are important when we're evaluating candidates. Given that we teach in case method, we want folks who are going to come in and be excited to share their background and experiences with their classmates, but also students who are going to sit back and listen and learn and approach this process with an open mind so that they can really make um, and take advantage of all the resources that we have. So those are the types of candidates we're looking for as we evaluate all three parts of that application process. So with that, would love to open it up for questions from the group.
Thank you, Marav, for the helpful session. And for the poll, we did have quite a few people who are seeking to apply in round 2. We have over 80%
Oh,
and
wow.
about 5% in round 3 and a little over 14 that are still undecided. We did have quite a few questions. We'll try to address as many as I can. One of the common questions is about the visa. So if you want to address what's the help selected for applicants, what for the visa approval?
Yes. So great question. Unfortunately, we can't go with you to the embassy, but what happens with that process is once a candidate is offered admission and they choose to accept that offer, right, and pay their deposit, then they will be working with our international student office, which is actually UVA, not just Darden. So we have a UVA international student office that works with all of the international students at the University of Virginia. They will ask you for documentation that shows that you are able to pay for the first year of your education experience, and that could be through scholarships, loans, or personal funding. Once you show them that certification, then they will issue a document called the I-20. You will take that I-20 along with your offer letter and make an appointment at the consulate for your visa or the embassy for your visa. At that point, it'll depend on country, the availability. We have no control over that, unfortunately. Um, we have, students that are very successful very quickly, and some students it does take a little bit longer. But again, it depends on country. We can offer support in terms of just an additional letter acknowledging certain deadlines and practices at Darden, but typically that would be the process. You would take those two documents and go on to have your visa appointment.
Perfect, thank you. Another question is, are there GMAT GRE waivers available? And if so, how does that affect the application profile of the candidate?
Yes, so we are test flexible at Darden. We'll accept the GMAT, the GRE, the executive assessment. We also accept the MCAT and LSAT for our med school and law school students. So we're very test flexible. We also have an opportunity for candidates to apply for a test waiver. So it's not an automatic. We do an evaluation process, but you can apply. What we look for is a minimum of 3 years of professional experience post undergrad. We look for a strong quant background, so whether it be both in undergrad, if you have an engineering, economics, math, accounting, finance background academically, and then also in the workplace as well. So you can apply for a test waiver. It's not automatic, but it is an option for candidates who feel that that is not a piece that they need to necessarily show us in the process. How it impacts the application is basically if we tell you that we don't need the test to make an assessment on your strength in that area, then it doesn't impact you for admission in any way. Where it does come into play, though, is scholarships. So at Darden, we do have merit-based scholarships. All candidates that we intend to offer to are evaluated for merit-based scholarships at the time of admission based on their application for admission. Merit-based focuses on your academic performance, testing, and some other qualities of leadership and performance professionally. But a bulk of that is academic merit. Not having a test score, it means that we have one less data point to use in our scholarship evaluation process. So, highly encourage folks to take that part into consideration when they're determining whether or not to apply for a test waiver or go ahead and submit a GMAT or GRE or executive assessment score.
Perfect, thank you. And just to kind of expand on that topic a bit, here is another question of how the scholarships vary from the round one and two. Just if you can explain a bit
Mhm.
about the merit-based needs for that.
Yes. So, merit based scholarships, we offer them in all of our rounds, whether it be early action to round three. Here's the thing: in early action, we have the most amount of money. We haven't given any away. As we go through the rounds, we have less and less money. So, is it a huge difference between R1 and R2? Not necessarily, but you have to keep in mind the longer you wait, the less money on opportunity we have. Need base is based on need, so your need, not the need of Darden, right? So it's not that it's based on your need, but that's how merit based scholarship works.
And sure, there are a few questions regarding work experience. I'm just going to kind of
Mhm.
combine those questions together. What would you say is the average work experience for the cohorts more recently?
I think right now we're sitting at an average of about 5 to 6 years is roughly our average right now. And for us, there's no minimum or maximum. I would say, think about the career you want to go into. There are many opportunities, like tech and banking, that really don't consider candidates with less than 3 years of experience. And so, if that's the industry you want to go into, you may want to work a minimum of 3 years. And honestly, some firms don't look for folks who have more than 7, 8, years of experience. So, really thinking about your career goals will help you decide whether or not this program is a right fit, whether or not it's the right time as well. For admission purposes, we really focus in more on your why than the number of years you've worked. So, why at this point in your career, whether you have 2 or whether you have 10 years of work experience, you feel that you need to take 2 years off and come back to school and pursue your MBA. That reasoning will really come into play during your application process. That's what we tend to focus on.
Perfect, thank you. And just to kind of combine that topic and move on, if here is a question of the minimum work experience in addition to the average GMAT score.
Yeah. So if you take a look at our class profile, and I think we can maybe get that in the chat, but the class profile will highlight what is the average years of work experience, what is the average GMAT score, average year. It'll give you essentially what our class looks like. That's what a class profile is. We have no minimum. We have no, you know, cutoffs of any kind. Again, it comes down to overall, we read holistically, and it comes to the whys of your story. We love to see candidates who've taken the time to reflect on their experiences, on their narrative, and can thoughtfully share where they've been, where they'd like to go. How can the Darden MBA help them get there? And if you can do that well, it doesn't matter the minimum or the maximum or anything like that. That's what we're looking for.
Perfect. And do you mind sharing a bit about the diversity of the cohorts, just the international experience, or even the range of age, if you will? Just speak a bit about that.
Yeah. So again, all the information in terms of our class profile and what it looks like can be found on the website. Our cohort right now, say, I guess if we average the two classes between the second years and the first years, is sitting at about 35% foreign nationals. So quite a diverse range of backgrounds represented and countries represented in our overall program. Folks coming in from all sorts of backgrounds. Yes, we do have traditional consultants and bankers, but we also have folks coming in with military experience. We have professional athletes, we have professional dancers. So, great opportunity to learn from not only folks from different geographic diversity, but also folks that come in from different industries and can share their expertise as it relates to case method.
All right, thank you. And another question we have is, do you expect the increased class size for the class of 2027,
Yeah.
considering the surge in applications?
That's a great question. So there is an increase in applications, but the number of seats has not changed. We only have the facilities that we do, and so no, I don't expect an increase in class size.
Another question we have here is there an early application deadline for guaranteed interviews in round two?
There is not. The only time we have an opportunity for you to schedule your interview prior to us evaluating the application is with our early action deadline. With round two, it's by interview only, or by invitation only, sorry.
Another question we have here is, could you talk about Darden's rise into the top ranks of US business programs?
Uh, so, I would say that basically, you know, I don't know what to say about it. Yes, I think it would say, speak to the quality of education that we provide our students in terms of the overall education experience. Our numbers speak for themselves in terms of the career outcomes that we have, as I shared earlier. I think it comes to, also alumni engagement. Our alumni extremely engaged with the Darden community in terms of giving. I think that has, part to do that as well, and also in terms of just their interactions day to day with admitted prospective and current students and with each other as well. Um, I think the way that we teach in case method provides that opportunity for really community building, and that's what helps us, rise to the top.
Perfect, thank you. And there was another question regarding the mix of the cohort within the classes. Think I don't know where that question went. I'm going to go ahead and jump to this one until I find it. How do you embed students into the professional world to equip them for employment following their graduation?
I'm not sure I'm going to answer this question the way that you want me to. Embed students in the professional world. So basically, case method is embedding you into the professional world. So it's giving you the opportunity to be the CMO of a company and make that, marketing decision, and to be the CFO of a company and to make that decision. You're evaluating that scenario in that role of the protagonist and coming up with solutions. Then you get to the real world and you'll find that you'll have cases that were very relevant to the work that you'll be presented with, and you'll be able to draw upon those experiences from the classroom to help you solve the problems when you go off into whatever industry you want to go into. Yes, you also obviously have the summer internship opportunity to put that into practice, also kind of figure out if that's the right career path you want to go on. Sometimes folks will have a summer internship experience and learn that that's not the route they want to go, and they re-recruit in their second year. We also have the opportunity to participate in programs like community consultants, where you go into the Charlottesville community and help the local businesses solve problems. Um, we have global consulting projects, so working on consulting projects for some global companies and then being able to travel there to present your findings. So many different ways to put what you're learning into practice. But the biggest way is case method, in that you're actually being presented with real world business problems and asked to solve them.
Perfect. This is the question that kind of expanded on that.
Oh,
Can you elaborate on how the case method plays into evaluation, grading structure at Darden? Is it more of a mix of exam papers, group projects? Does it vary by class?
So the percentage of what each counts for does vary by class a little bit, but typically it's about 40% of your grade is actually classroom engagement and making meaningful contributions to the classroom. And then the rest of it would be, your final exam, which is a take home. Typically, you're allowed about 5 hours to work on, and then, papers, group projects, etc. So yes, combination of things.
Perfect. Here's a question. Oh,
Nope,
sorry.
no, that's okay.
Um, this is a great one. What would you say are
Ooh.
the top three do's and don'ts to keep in mind while applying for the program?
Mm. Don't panic. No, so I would say the best thing to do is to take some time to look at your application. So do look at your application objectively. Look at your academic piece, look at your experiential professional piece, and look at the personality side of things. In terms of academics, where do you fall within kind of our averages in comparison to our averages, and say, like, okay, if you have a below average GPA, how can you show us strength academically? Send in strong test scores, take some additional coursework, right? Find that balance within the academic profile so that we can feel confident that academically you're competent enough to be in a rigorous academic environment like Darden's. In terms of professional experiences, do make sure that you are highlighting areas of impact on your resume. The job history section of the application allows for you to tell us what the job that you do is and why you've made transitions. So don't leave that part out, the why you've made a transition. That's really important. And have the resume be a complement to that, highlighting the areas of impact you had within those roles. The personality piece is one that you have a lot of control over in terms of determining, who do you want to show us, right? We want to see who you are, right? There's no right or wrong. We're looking to see what your personality is, who you'll be in our community. So do make an effort to be thoughtful in that process of how you share information, what you share about yourself, whether it be in the essays or during the interview process. And also just keep in mind who you're selecting for your recommendation letter. Make sure that person can speak to your strengths professionally, right? Your work and experiences, but also to your character, to your leadership, and how you collaborate with others, because those are important qualities that we're looking for. So I know I didn't give you just a list of three, but those are kind of the do's and don'ts that I would recommend thinking about.
Right. We have another question here regarding the GMAT scoring. Are the class profiles the average GMAT score based on the old format or the newer focus format?
It's based on the old. We At the time that this was printed, I don't think we had enough data gathered on the focus because it wasn't as common. So that one's based on the original GMAT. Mm.
All right. And we have another question that kind of expands on that just a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, so, is the AWA part in GRE important in the application as they've removed that section? So, do you can still consider it?
Yeah, we do still want to see it. We do still take it into consideration. We're more focused in though on your own writing in the essays.
And there are quite a number of questions asking about the application fee waiver. If you
Mm,
just want to share
sure.
about that or just answer that,
Happy
I'll
to
give
address
you the
that.
floor.
Yeah. So, application fee waivers. I will say that they are not typical at Darden. There are certain I want to say like groups or populations or programs that qualify for an application fee waiver. If you take a look on our website under the frequently asked questions section, there is a part that lists the different organizations that, if you are a member of that organization or participated with that, that qualify for an application fee waiver. But I'll note that they are not common at Darden.
All right. Well, thank you for addressing that. Just wanted to make sure everybody had that clear and covered. I know that Christian did put that in the chat, and thank you for
Thank you.
that as well. And there is also a um, WhatsApp group I have pinned above, so feel free to ask further questions in that as well.
Mm.
I did have a few more specific questions. I'm just going to put on the screen here. People are asking the flavor of the MBA program at Darden. I had another question that was the ambience of the city. So if you just kind of want to
Mm.
expand on the culture and just the more informal aspects of it.
I like the flavor of the MBA. Anything but vanilla, for sure. Uh, I would say, Darden's culture is one that is very, I always say, I use this word a lot, it's collaborative. We have students here that really have a work hard, play hard mentality. They are here to get a good education experience, and there's a strong emphasis on learning and intellectual curiosity, but they're also here to have fun. Yes, it's hard. Sometimes it's rocky road, a little bit of mix, and sometimes it's some softies, a bunch of marshmallows, and a bunch of nuts, a bunch of loonies together in a classroom. But it's a great combination. You have such great diversity in all forms, and folks coming together to share their experiences, to learn one another, to help each other out during the recruitment process, because it can be intense, it can be challenging, especially actually this month where you're doing a lot of coursework and you're going to a lot of networking events and you're going to start your interviews and whatnot, and so there's a lot of collaboration and helping each other out and having fun as well. So many club and organization events and performances and just social opportunities. So I would say just a great work hard, play hard mentality here at Darden.
It's a great answer. So just kind of wrapping it up, if you would say, what are the top three things that you would say really stand out from Darden and make it the program unique compared to others?
Yeah. Um, our biggest differentiators, I think, go back to kind of my first slide, is that education experience. Well, the one thing I forgot to highlight was the global exposure. So all of our students actually get an opportunity to go global or have a global experience with our Batten scholarship. So we incorporate that global experience into the classroom as well, because we want you to, or into your education experience, because we want you to be a global leader. And through case method and through that experiential learning, you have that opportunity. Our career resources, our career resource officers are just absolutely lovely. So dedicated to our students and so wanting to help you all through your career journeys, along with the other resources I mentioned of our second year coaches and clubs. And then that culture, that collaborative culture that makes, honestly, just being an employee at Darden such a pleasure to be in such a fun community to be a part of. So definitely just the education experience, the career resources, and the overall collaborative community would be the top three.
All right, and we still have a few minutes. We are getting some questions about dual degree candidates.
Mhm. Well, I'm glad you guys got the dual degree person. So, dual degree candidates, basically, you would apply to each program separately and sometimes simultaneously, sometimes not. The question regarding the MPP, so that one is a 3-year track. So, you do 1 year at one program, 1 year at the other, and the final year at both. Most of our candidates do start in the public policy school so they can graduate with their Darden cohort. We find that to be the most common path with most of our dual degree option is to find a way to graduate with the Darden cohort, especially when you want to also utilize the Darden career resources and network for that post graduation job. Um, so with dual degrees MPP, you can apply to both programs at the same time and then ultimately defer your enrollment at one versus the other. And I would recommend starting at the Batten School, coming to Darden, and then doing your last year at both.
Perfect. There were a couple questions about the case method, and just want to make sure address those. So for the case method, on
Mm.
top of focusing on the cases in the financial services, uh, GPG industries, et cetera, will there be a change in the curriculum highlighting recent developments in areas like Gen AI?
Yeah. So Darden's curriculum, in terms of the cases, that's an area where we're constantly evolving and adding more to meet recent developments to be up with the times essentially, whether it be bringing in new perspectives from global companies, from underrepresented minority owned companies, from women owned companies, to bring in Gen I, to bring in what's new in healthcare, what's new in whatever it happens to be. So I think in general, the curriculum overall topics will remain roughly the same. You're still going to have your marketing, you're still going to have your finance, you're still going to have your decision analysis and leading organizations and business ethics. But the cases that help to teach those subject matters will constantly be evolving to adapt to whatever's current or whatever's the most up to date.
All right, thank you. There is a few other questions regarding the current scores. So, someone asked if I've already submitted my application with my current GRE score, but end up retaking the GRE, can I submit a new score? And if it's higher, will it be considered in my application review?
Yes. So you're certainly welcome to submit an updated score during your application process. I'll note that the later in the process we are, the further along we are in the process, um, it may not come into play if your application has already been reviewed. Now, we do have a couple more weeks until decision release for round one. And so we are going to be reviewing applications and reviewing it as a committee. So there's a good chance that that information will be sent. But the sooner you or seen, the sooner you send it, the better. So um, do send that information if you have an update. Also, having a stronger score will help with scholarship consideration. So always send updates if you have them.
Perfect. And this question asks, what are the opportunities for students interested in energy roles post MBA, or perhaps maybe have opportunities with the international treks that you mentioned?
So in terms of energy roles, different companies have different opportunities depending on what you're looking to do within energy. Is it more of a tech focused role? Is it more of a, what's your angle, right? So yes, there are roles post MBA that have an energy focus, perhaps clean energy. I'm thinking actually Apex Clean Energies here, even in Charlottesville. Some folks, international folks, actually have interned there in the past, and so yes, there are opportunities there for students interested in that. In terms of the global treks, so we have what's called the Darden Worldwide courses. Those are opportunities for students to take a course, typically about 7 to 9 days, in a country or a small grouping of countries like together, like Finland and Estonia are together, and do a deeper dive into a subject matter with a faculty member and 30 or so of their peers and a staff coordinator, someone to wrangle everybody together and get them on the bus. But for example, we have manufacturing in Japan or sustainability in Iceland, or doing business in Morocco. And so, opportunities to explore and do a deeper dive on that subject matter within the context of that country. They are elective courses. So, just like any of our other elective courses, there's a bidding system to get into each one. Students will complete them either in their fall break of their second year or spring break of their second year.
Thank you. And we have another question here regarding professional certifications. So, do professional certifications such as the CFA help during the evaluation of merit based scholarships?
Yes. So all of the professional certifications, if you're a CPA or have your CFA, get factored into the academic profile, which is the primary thing we look at for merit-based scholarships. So short answer, yes.
All right. And this question asks, could you clarify how Darden evaluates applicants with 10 years of experience? I've had a few questions asking
Mhm.
about more mature
Mhm.
experience and how Darden evaluates that.
So I mentioned this earlier. Again, it's not how many experience years of experience you have, but it's more about the why. Why, after 10 years, do you think that you need to take a break and go pursue a full time MBA program? What is it that the Dart MBA can help you to accomplish that you haven't been able to do or won't be able to do without it? That's what we're looking for in the application process. So we're less looking so at the years, but more looking so as the reasoning behind the choices that you're making and why you want to pursue an MBA at this time.
All right. And I think this is a good last question just to kind of wrap up. If you would share about some of the prominent professors and courses that students take, some ones that are most cherished by the current students.
Gosh, so many. Um, Peter Bellany's Paths to Power, Yael Grushka-Cocaine, any of her decision analysis courses, Melissa Thomas Hunt's leading organization courses, Mike Lennox's courses. Actually, when he does the case on AI and Tesla, that's a great one. Um, uh, Elena Luskina's finance courses, Luann Lynch accounting. There's too many to name, honestly. I would just encourage you all to browse through our website based on the topics that you're interested in pursuing and take a look at some of the faculty courses and research. There's just too many to name.
Perfect. Yes, it sounds like there is plenty of ways that they can customize their curriculum. And as we're getting to the 2 minute mark, what is one takeaway you would hope that
Mm.
our audience receives from this presentation?
I think the biggest takeaway would be to, as I mentioned earlier, approach this application process objectively and thoughtfully. Think about, what is like what I said before about where you've been, where would you like to go? How can the Darden MBA specifically, if you're applying to Darden, help you get there, right? So it's about why MBA, but why Darden? String together along your experiences and help us understand your story. Why did you make certain choices? Why did you go to the college that you did, or the major that you had, or the first job that you took? Why did you transition jobs? Why is it that you're looking to pursue a career in XYZ industry or company? And then how do we fit in along the way? The students that are the most thoughtful in that process not only do well here because they stick to their goals and their values, but obviously do well in our application process as well because we see that understanding, we see that thought process, and it's something that we're looking for. So be thoughtful in your application process, and the objective piece comes in as the reality of taking a look at your academic profile and saying, okay, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How can I balance that out professionally? How can I show areas of impact if I've had less than the traditional number of years of work experience, or how can I show where I still have room for growth if I have more than the traditional number of years of work experience? Personality, just be you.
Wonderful. Well, with that, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If we did not cover any of your questions today, please feel free to stop by the Darden booth. You will find a variety of helpful links and resources for you. And you can speak further with Marav and Christian from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Thank you and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.